All right, well done in the latest video. Very good. And also, just in case you thought you had to like turn your video in like at 11:59 p.m., it's you can definitely turn it in earlier. You can totally do that. I just noticed that it's always been like right at the cutting point, cutoff point for turning stuff in. So if you're like waiting to do it at that time, you don't have to. That's just I want things, ask everyone to have it all turned in before then, which you have done. But if you want to turn it in earlier, you totally can. Like you don't have to wait till that time of day or time of night, wherever you're at. I don't know where you're at in the world, so I don't know which time zone it is. Anyway, all right. So number one here, part one. So we're going back to what we have been doing. So you work on this guy, get it to a max speed, and then start adding in repetitions. So what I'd like you to do first, try figuring out the count before you watch it or before you listen to it in Guitar Pro. So glad you got that. So some things you can do with Guitar Pro. Like some of the most helpful things is being able to listen to it. So just real quick here, some important panels. So up here, top left, this panel, that shows you the note values of everything, and you got some performance stuff you can add to it, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is right up here. Same thing with like your time signature, key signature, sign your repeat signs, but most important thing is like seeing these rhythmic values here, especially if you're going to write your own stuff. So the next panel, the one on the right, just contains track information, song information. And you can like change the guitar sound over here, change the tuning if you want. And then over here, this panel brings up the bottom portion so you can change the volume of the guitar. You can mute the guitar, and that's helpful if you're just going to look at the tab while it plays with the metronome. Now, metronome and count in up here. So this the hourglass there is your count in, and you can change how many bars of a count you have. So default is at 1 bar. So you will hear 4 clicks because this is a 4/4 time signature. So you hear 4 clicks before the MIDI guitar starts. Now, when you're playing things, if you're going to play along with Guitar Pro and it's really fast, perhaps hitting play and then getting your hand ready to start strumming, maybe it's too fast. Like, say you're up at like 200 beats per minute. Well, then you click on these 3 dots and just change 1 bar to 2 bars. And you can do even more if you really want. And metronome volume, I typically have that all the way up. There's an option for a visual metronome, but I highly recommend leaving that off because some students will be like, "Oh, my metronome, I can see it, the flash, and it helps me keep time." I was like, "Yeah." Problem with that is you don't want to rely on your eyes following a metronome because we need to train the ears to do it, not the eyeballs. So I don't like visual metronomes. I just think it's better to get the ear going. And then if you want to follow along with it, you got to be able to change tempo. So if you go up here, click on that guy, and just enter whatever tempo you want. So 65, hit enter. Now it's important that when you change tempos, you have your cursor at the start, because let's say you stopped it after you're somewhere in the 3rd bar and you go up to change the tempo. Well, it's going to change the tempo exactly where the cursor is. So that'll mess things up there. So just make sure you have the cursor at the start before you change the tempo if you're going to follow along with this. So not a bad idea to follow along with these with Guitar Pro, especially when you get to faster tempos. This way it can help ensure that you're doing it correct. Of course, following along with this too. So like what you can do with this video is when you reach a tempo that I'm demonstrating, just follow along, make sure it sounds the same. And of course, I don't do every single one, so using Guitar Pro can very much help with that too. Still think it's best for your final video that you turn in, do it with just the good old-fashioned metronome. Think of it like the final exam, right? It's your test to see how well you're following everything and understand everything. So use Guitar Pro to help when you need it, but I don't want you to get in the habit of relying on it to always follow it. Some people, they really do need to rely on Guitar Pro. Some people just cannot follow certain rhythms at all without it. So far, I do not think that's you. So far, I think you're doing quite fine, quite well, with just the metronome, especially after the latest thing we did. You definitely cleaned up and improved the rhythm accuracy. So here we go. The new number 1, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. Go. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1 and 3, 4. Done. 180. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, just throw in those repeats once you get to your higher speeds for the day. And let's demonstrate that once at 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. All right, any questions come up, let me know. And I will see you again in your next video.